ordinarily I do with my regular students, and you should feel free to join us. What we're going to do is, with the abs, fewer reps than we normally would do. We would do 20 reps in the abs exercises. We're just going to do 10 for the purposes of this video. And if you want to pause and do more, if you want to just stick with the 10 that I'm doing, that's totally fine. Some of our poses we hold for a minute or more, and for the purposes of the video, we'll hold the poses for about 30 seconds. So you can do those with me, you can pause the video and continue holding the pose. So this can be modified for your use. But we're going to go through the full series of abs. I don't do all of the abs in every class because basically everyone just complains. But we'll just go through the whole series of abs. And, you know, I'm not watching you, you're just watching me, so you can do whatever you like. We're going to begin by sitting, and it's important to sit up. So I'm taking my blanket. I've got a blanket here, I've got a strap, which could be your bathrobe belt. I've got a couple blocks and a tennis ball. And I'm folding my blanket in thirds. And in this way, I can sit up nice and tall on my blanket. So sitting up on the blanket, if it's easier for you, you can sit in Vajrasana. That is, maybe you have a bolster or a blanket or a block such that you sit with your thighs parallel. So different ways of sitting. Find the one that works best for you. And you can sit in a chair, it's totally fine. All we're doing is finding a comfortable seat, making sure that we are in alignment, that we have a lumbar curve, that we're sitting up nice and tall. And you can imagine someone's pulling up the backs of the tops of your ears to the ceiling. So your head's just resting on top of the spine. It's not poking out in front, the chin's not lifting up, you're not tucking the chin. You can bring the arms to cactus arms and then feel the shoulder blades snug on the back. And keep that engagement, the shoulders on the back, just release your hands to your thighs. Let's close the eyes here for a few moments. And we're just gonna feel where we are in space. Maybe bring a little energy to the feet. Maybe you're spreading your toes a little bit. And notice how when you activate the feet, it brings energy up into your entire seated pose. And then let's invite in some deep inhalations. And we're talking about low belly, mid ribs, all the way to the upper lungs. And then long, complete exhalations. And you might practice with Ujjayi breath. And you know Ujjayi breath is that sound like you're fogging a mirror with the breath, but it's actually in and out through the nose. It's a little Darth Vader-y. If you like, you can count maybe to 5 on your inhalation. Pause and hold the breath for a beat or two. And then count to 5 or more on your exhalation. So we know our exhalations are the calming trigger for the central nervous system. Begin our practice reclining. So reclining is just a nice easy way to warm up the hips, to stretch, to start linking movement and breath. So one of the first exercises we do, windshield wipers. It stands here. So the feet are as wide apart as the mat, the arms along the ears if that's comfortable. If the shoulders don't drop to the floor, let the arms come out to the sides or wherever you feel at ease. And we're exhaling the knees to one side, inhaling back to center. Exhaling to the other side, inhaling back to center.
And we're keeping the toes spread, the feet are active. We're not rolling over the ankles, but we're tipping to the inner and outer edges of the feet. You might exhale the knees to one side, pause a beat or two. Let the weight of the legs just stretch the hip, the side body naturally. Inhale back to center and exhale, pausing a beat or two, right? So just a little extra stretch and inhale back to center. And an even deeper stretch. Exhale the knees over, bring the lower foot to the upper outer thigh. So you're getting a stretch through the outer hip, the side body. Keeping the feet spread, the toes are spread, the feet are active here. We protect the knee in that way. And then back to center, and the last side, bringing the lower foot to the upper outer thigh. You don't have to do that variation, it's just an option. And then we'll come back to center. Let's move into some twists. The arms are out to the sides. We're lifting the feet up off the floor. We're keeping the knees together, and keeping the knees together, you can really feel how the core muscles are involved in your twists. We're exhaling the knees over, and you don't have to go very far, wherever you go. Inhale back to center, the knees are together and the feet are active. Exhaling to the other side, and inhaling back to center. You might start with small twists and gradually deepen the arc of the twist. It's totally up to you. We're just starting to get some movement here. And you might incorporate the arms. So I'm exhaling my knees over, and then I'm lifting my arm up to the ceiling, bringing it across the body, palm to palm with the opposite hand, stretching it along the ear and sweeping it back to a T shape. Inhale to center. And exhale the knees over, lift the arm, bring it across the body, stretch it along the ear and back to a T shape. And back to center. You can continue with your twists as long as you like, incorporating the arms or not. I'm going to bring my hands to the knees and just rock side to side across the sacrum. I can make circles with the knees, one direction, the other. Even hug the knees into the chest and roll from elbow to elbow. So I'm just working out the kinks here in the back body. And then with the feet parallel to one another, the thighs parallel, there's my arms at the sides. And I'm going to do a moving variation of bridge pose. So on my exhalation, I'm curling the tailbone under and rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Notice the arms are moving as well. I'm inhaling here at the top and exhaling down. Just articulating my way through each and every vertebrae, getting some movement here. All the 100-year-old yogis, they dredge up every year and put on covers of magazines, say the same thing. You are as young as your spine is supple. So rolling up and rolling down, just getting some movement through the whole length of the spine. And then release the hips to the mat. Let's get ready for a second variation of something or other. Hold on, which I forget. Darn it. Okay. All right, so take the hands behind the head. So interlace the hands behind the head. We're going to work out the kinks. Can you cut that out, Marissa? We're going to work out the kinks in the upper back. So on your exhalation, I'm lifting the elbows, rounding the shoulders, tucking the chin, just hugging the elbows towards one another. And you can move a little side to side. We're just stretching the fascia in the upper back. And you can do one or two more of those at your own pace. And we'll start in our core series. So like I say, we're going to do all the core practices. We don't ordinarily do them all in one class. If you like, you can do them and just fewer of them. They get to a variety of the muscles. So my arms are in cactus arms here. My feet are parallel, thighs are parallel. And then I'm really going to engage the front body. I'm pressing the low back to the floor. The whole back body is pressed to the floor. So this is not yoga. This is a core strengthening practice. It's a different thing. It's not our yoga alignment. So strong engagement here. And in keeping that, I'm lifting the hips just so I'm a straight line from the knees to the chin. It's not bridge pose, it's more like a reverse plank pose. And you'll notice, especially if you've not done this very often, that the hamstrings sometimes get a little grippy, a little crampy. If you find that happening, just bring the weight more into the heels, and you'll shift the energy into the glutes, less into the hamstrings. This is a hamstring strengthener. So we're in the glutes, the thighs, the hamstrings here, the abdominal muscles, so a strong core practice. And ordinarily we'll hold this for about a minute. So a couple of choices here for the moving part of the pose. You can release the hips toward the mat and pulse up on an exhalation with both feet on the floor, just like I did. Or you can lift one foot, foot is active, and I'm going to release the hips toward the mat and pulse up. And I'll just do 3 of them here, but we've worked up to, 8 or 10 of them. The hips are level. I'll lift the other foot, release, and pulse up. Keeping the hips level. And then I'm going to release down to the mat. And this is a good time to stretch out the hamstrings, because they do get they're being strengthened. They get a little tight. So giving a stretch one side, the other, an easy hamstring release. And then I'm externally rotating the arms. So shoulders are back on the mat. And I'm going to flip my palms over so the palms are face down. I'm going to send my legs straight up and the feet are active again. So this one you can try. Maybe the hips don't even get off the mat. Not a problem. We're still working the muscles that will make that a possibility. So we're lifting the hips straight up and releasing them down. So straight up and down. Not doing this, right? So you're not swinging the legs, but straight up, straight down. And bend the knees, holding behind the thighs. So this is a series that's pulses followed by obliques. I'm going to do 10 pulses, 10 obliques. We can do that together. Or maybe you're just laying there, I don't know. And then I'm rolling up my heart toward the thighs. Arms out straight. So the pulses are releasing the shoulders back and pulsing up. On an exhalation, you can exhale strongly through the mouth, a short, sharp exhalation, more like a Pilates exhalation. I think that was 10. And then hands behind the head, and we'll do 10 obliques here. So you might just alternate the knees. You can extend both legs out between sides. You can let the legs stay still. So a total of 10 of these, which I may or may not have achieved. And then just pausing, rocking the hips from side to side. So if you like, you can do a whole series of those pulses and obliques, or you can choose to do fewer. So totally up to you. So now we'll do a few more of these abs exercises. You can hold a block between the knees or simply pretend you're holding a block between the knees. I'm in Navasana with the knees bent and the feet are active. I'm hugging an imaginary block here. So my hands are together, and then I'll do a total of 10 of these, but you can do more or less. Exhaling to one side, inhaling back to center. Exhaling, inhaling. We'll do these together perhaps. 5, 6, 7, hugging your imaginary block so the legs aren't swinging around. So there's 10. You can do a stretch, the fingers pointing toward the hips, the feet parallel, long spine and the shoulders back, and if you like, lifting the hips. If it feels good to drop the head, feel free. Our next abs core exercise, really, with Navasana is full Navasana, half Navasana. So we're in Navasana, inhaling toward the mat and exhaling up. Inhaling toward the mat, and exhaling up. And you can do as many of those as you like. And again, if you like a stretch, feel free. Okay, we're going to shift to a rolling up and down. So it may be that you get to a point rolling up where you're kind of stuck. And in that case, feel free to use your hands to help you up. You can bend the knees if you need to. And you can send the arms along the ears. They can be out in front of you. You can be holding weights here in your hands for this purpose. We're just rolling up and rolling down, one vertebrae at a time. You can do as many of those as you like. I'm going to shift to one that has me halfway down. So here I am halfway. And this is a challenge, but now you can make it more challenging by lifting the arms, maybe conducting an orchestra, moving your arms in whatever way you like. And you can really feel that this becomes more challenging the longer you hold the pose. And then all the way up. Okay, we have a last series here, a last abs series. You're like, yay, will this ever be over? On my side. So legs are straight, feet are stacked. This shoulder here, I'm not letting it round forward. Draw it back. Make sure you're using your upper back muscles. And you can use your hand to assist the hips up. So we'll do 10 of these, releasing the hips toward the mat and pulsing up on an exhalation. Then, the arm up overhead, I'm doing a couple of twists. And now, we'll move into the glutes. Arms along the floor. My head's resting on my extended arm. I'm going to bend the knees so that my heels are in line with my sitting bones. So I'm not in a chair pose. Heels are back, just in line with the sitting bones. Inner edges of the feet are together, and I'm squeezing the glutes to lift and lower the knee. So we'll do 10 of these. So really squeezing the glutes to lift and lower the knee. I'm not letting the hips swing back and forth. I'm not kind of spacing out and just throwing the knee around. I'm really engaging the glutes to lift the knee. And then we'll shift to the other side. So, left shoulder stays back. We're not letting it get sloppy. We're using the upper back muscles here. And the feet are stacked. We'll lift the hips. And then the same thing, pulsing up. There's 2. And the head's just in the same relationship to the spine as when we're in Tadasana. So the chin's not up, it's not tucking, it's Tadasana. Arm is overhead, and a couple of twists. And then our clamshell pose. It's called clamshell because the inner edges of your feet stay together. So lifting and lowering the knee by squeezing the glutes. Okay, so that's our ab series. I put something on our Facebook page that has stick figures. So if you like to use that, but that's the human version of the stick figures. Now I'm going to shift into some hip and hamstring releases. So I've got a tennis ball, and I'm going to put the tennis ball. So my right knee is bent, left leg is out straight. I've got my tennis ball. I'm putting it under the fleshiest part of the right buttocks, or Steve says your right jeans back pocket. And I'm dropping the right knee open. You can have the arms along the ears, out to your sides, whatever's comfortable here. If you find that you just cannot relax, you can put your block or your blanket underneath the thigh to support it. So we're trying not to hold the thigh up. If you need to shift your body weight, you're kind of shifting across the mat, not lifting and lowering the leg. We're not trying to, contract and release the muscles here. So this is a fascia release around the piriformis. And normally we're here a minute. This is about 45 seconds. I'm going to use my hand to assist the thigh up. Remove the tennis ball. Drop the knee open. Slide the foot along the mat. And there's a big difference one side to the next. This leg is way heavier on the floor. And I'm going to do the other side. Flexiest part of the left buttocks. And dropping the knee open. And just reclining. You can extend the arms along the ears. So we talk about in our meditation practice, when there's a sensation in the body that's so overwhelming, it distracts you from the breath, you can bring your entire attention to that sensation. And in a particular way, just noticing the sensation, not making a story of it. So I'm noticing, is this sharp? Is it dull? Does it pulse? Does it expand? Does it contract? Is it moving, diminishing, increasing? So that may be your focus of attention rather than the breath in this particular pose. I'm removing the ball, dropping the knee open, and sliding my foot along the mat. So coming to Tadasana a moment, just feeling the effects of that piriformis release. And we'll do another series here using the what do you call this thing? A belt, yes. Or maybe it's your bathrobe strap. So I've got the knees bent. There's space in my low back. There, I can actually put my hand between the low back and the mat. So I want to maintain that space. I'm going to cross the left ankle to the front of the right thigh. And I'm lassoing the ball of the right foot with the strap. Where do I hold on the strap? Where does the right leg go? It depends. Wherever you can maintain space in the low back. So here's my pose, this figure 4 pose. And then I'm very slowly coming your way, Marissa. And I'll lower my legs over to the right. It's like, pressing my left foot into the floor and lengthening through the right leg. I'm drawing the left hip and armpit away from each other. And I want to hold a little closer to my foot. You might adjust to be a little closer or a little further from your foot. So you're making whatever adjustments seem appropriate. We're not ever moving into pain. So discomfort, maybe there's a stretch that can be a little strong, but we don't want to feel like we're creating injury, of course, or pain. So you can stay here as long as you like. Ordinarily in class, we might stay 45 seconds, a minute. I think we've stayed about 45 seconds here. Try, if you can, not to press off on the right arm, but to use the core muscles to come back to center. That's just a fun thing to try. We're going to set the strap aside, and I'm holding my left foot and left knee and lowering the right leg all the way to the floor. This is baby cradle. And this is my baby, right? I'm treating it with compassion and tenderness. I'm being patient. I'm just warming up the hip joint here. I'm not yanking it around. So baby cradle. And then shifting to happy baby. Maybe you want to stretch your right arm along the ear to the right side psoas stretch. If you can't hold your foot in happy baby, you might lasso the foot with a short loop of strap. Just basically make your arm longer. And if you like, you can extend the left leg out to the side, maybe stretch through the right side body and reach a little toward the left. That might feel good. If it doesn't, don't do it. Come back to center. We're shifting to a twist. The sole of the left foot on top of the right thigh, right hand to the left knee. Inhale, leg through the spine. Exhale, the knee across the body. And it's more comfortable if this left arm is out in a T shape. Try to keep it along your ear is less comfortable. So I'm lengthening through the right leg, the extended right leg, really reaching. And I might use my right hand to sort of press the left hip away from the left armpit. This is a deep twist. Wherever the left knee is, keep the left shoulder down on the floor. So we don't want the shoulder getting yanked around. It's not a deep socket. So breathing here, and you'll notice the breath has to be pretty strong. This is kind of a squeeze for the organs. So we're massaging the organs from the inside out. The yogi state, one of the benefits of a twist. And you can hold this as long as you like. And coming back to center, can drop the knee open, slide the foot along the mat, and it'll feel like the left leg is longer actually than the right leg. And the left side body is heavier, more grounded on the floor. Let's do the other side. Crossing the right ankle to the front of the left thigh. And again, I'm maintaining a lumbar curve. So lassoing my left foot with the strap, holding the strap wherever it needs to be so that I'm in Tadasana. I'm practicing in Tadasana, in mountain pose. And then slowly lower the legs over to the left, bringing the right foot down to the floor. And we're lengthening through the left leg, pressing into the sole of the right foot, and just breathing. Maybe I'm pressing into the sole of the right foot and drawing the right knee away from the chest. So I'm deepening the twist. I'm making it a little more intense. If I want it to be a little less intense, maybe I'm letting the right knee drift in a little bit. So not quite the big outer hip stretch. So easy, spacious breath, soft face. We're still in our breath, and the breath moving in the body. You might notice that the breath meets some resistance, some tight places, and just soften into those tight places with your exhalations. Again, maybe you cannot use your left arm to come back to center. You can set the strap aside and hold the right knee and foot, lower the left leg, and then you can rock your knees side to side, away toward the chest, make circles, baby cradle, and then happy baby. And you can extend the left arm along the ear if that feels good. Maybe you'd like to extend the right leg and reach through the left side body. And back to center, and a twist. The sole of the left foot on top of the right thigh, left hand to the right knee. I'm going to inhale, leg through the spine. As I twist, I'm just letting my right arm come out to the side a little more. So the left leg wants to check out. Reach through the left leg. It'll energize the whole entire pose. And maybe your left hand is pressing into the right hip, just gently pressing the right hip away from the right armpit. And you're breathing. So the breath has to be pretty expansive. We're in a deep twist here. So twists are therapeutic for a number of reasons. They give the discs between the vertebrae an opportunity to kind of get squashed and released so they stay supple. They don't turn into that dish sponge that you forgot behind your sink. And then slowly come back to center. Drop the right knee open, slide the foot along the mat. Give yourself a big stretch here. Let the whole length of the spine arc off the floor. The thighs are grounded, the heels stay down. And then we'll use the block and the strap for this next series. So hips, hamstrings, big connection there. We've felt it often. The block's on its medium end. I'm putting it under the sacrum, so the fused vertebrae at the base of the spine. And then I'm using my strap, so you have a couple choices. You can lasso the ball of the foot and extend the left leg out straight along the mat, extending the right leg up, wherever it goes. We're trying to maintain the lumbar curve. We're trying to keep the sacrum heavily grounded. So we're not trying to roll off the back of the block. So this is Tadasana. Shoulders are back. And I'm drawing my right hip away from the right armpit. This is an option. You might prefer to hold behind the right thigh and to lengthen to the left leg. It's like Houdini. I'm like buried in my strap, drawing the right hip away from the right armpit. We'll never make it. And then I'm going to extend the right leg alongside the left leg. And I'll do the same on the other side, either holding behind the left thigh. I think I'll give the strap a rest. Or lassoing the ball of the left foot with the strap. And the whole time I'm trying to draw the shoulders back. I'm drawing the left hip away from the left armpit. So why the block? I'm giving the psoas muscles a little extra stretch, a little extra something over which to drape. And I'll extend the arms along the ears, the legs out straight. So notice my ribs want to pop up. If I pull the ribs in a little bit, I can allow the back body to open up. If I engage the quadriceps, I can allow the hamstrings to lengthen. So that reciprocal inhibition that happens throughout the body. And if you like, you can do a little shoulder stand, a little supported shoulder stand here with the sacrum heavy on the block. And lowering the feet to the floor. I'm just going to lift the hips enough to remove the strap. This is a block, it's not a strap, I'm obsessed. So I'm setting the block aside. And I've got a lumbar curve here. So it's Tadasana. I'm going to juice the rhomboids a little bit, the muscles in the back body. Reaching to the ceiling and exhaling the shoulders back. Inhaling up, exhaling back, like a piston. When my shoulders drop back to the mat, I'm going to bring the elbows down beside the ribs. And then I'm pretending to squeeze a block between the knees. And I'm using the strength of the legs to lengthen through the whole spine to create an arc through the whole length of the spine. And from here, I'm going to press straight down into the feet, the elbows, and lift the hips straight up. I'm moving into bridge pose, having already created this back bend. And there's options here. You might come up on tiptoes, keep the hips there, but drop the heels down. That's a deeper back bend. Maybe I'm working my shoulders underneath, coming more to the tops of the shoulders. And you can do as many bridge poses as feels good. So when we come out of bridge pose, it's important to remember not to immediately hug the knees into the chest when we come out of a back bend, because we want the discs kind of sort of morph their way back between the vertebrae where they belong. Okay, so I'm coming now to hands and knees, and if you like, you can put a blanket under the knees, make yourself more comfortable. So on hands and knees, get my cheat sheet here, I'm going to do a little bit of cat-cow movement. But watch what happens here. I'm really rounding over like a Halloween cat. I'm moving from the tailbone, base of the spine, through the spine, and now I get to the head. I'm lifting the sides of the throat up to the ceiling and letting the chin come forward just a little bit. I'm rounding from the base of the spine all the way back. Here's what I'm not doing. Okay, so I'm not doing that. I'm starting at Halloween cat. I'm letting the ribs sink, lifting the sides of the throat up. There's a lot more freedom in the neck and shoulders here. So a few rounds of cat-cow movement. And then I'm coming to a neutral table. So here's a series that's familiar from class. I'm going to stretch the right leg back, pressing back through the right heel. Reach the left arm forward. And my twist is coming from the right side ribs. I'm inhaling length, and from the right side ribs, I'm exhaling into a twist. I should have done something with my hair. On my next exhalation, I'm going to thread the left arm behind the right wrist, and I can even walk the right fingertips forward a little, just a twist in another direction. And coming back to center, I'm bringing the right heel down. This is a side plank variation, Vashisthasana. Breathing here. I can engage the core muscles, including the glutes, to raise the right leg. Maybe I want to start spinning my heart to the ceiling. Maybe I reach back for the foot. And extend the leg back, the arm forward, and come back to a neutral table. Big energy difference one side to the next. And then the left leg back. Inhale the right arm forward. From the left side ribs, I'm initiating my twist. And then exhale the right arm behind the left wrist. Maybe walk the left fingertips forward, a deeper twist. And then this Vashisthasana variation. I'm engaging the core muscles to raise the left leg, maybe even spinning the heart toward the ceiling with the left leg straight, maybe reaching back for the foot. And a big stretch. And returning to a neutral table. And I might do a little bit of cat-cow movement, just coming back to symmetry. So I'm finding my alignment of the spine here. The hands are active. I'm really grounding the index finger mound, so I'm not tipping to the pinky finger sides. Broad across the shoulders. And then I'm curling the toes under. I'm going to lift the knees 1 inch and let the heart move back to the thighs. So in downward facing dog, the heels don't have to touch. You don't have to straighten the legs. We want to feel like there's the same alignment of the spine as in Tadasana. So hugging the hands in by externally rotating, broadening across the tops of the shoulders. So keeping the hands hugging in, we'll move into plank pose. So this movement back and forth from dog to plank is therapeutic for the shoulders. Broad across the shoulders. I'm not rounding the shoulders. Moving from dog to plank. And then I can do a little series here in downward facing dog. The right leg goes up, wild thing. And coming back to center, lower the foot. The left leg goes up and back to center. I'm going to step the right foot to a lunge. And on fingertips, I'm bringing the hands to the inside of the foot and bending the elbows. This is a hip stretch. It's also a good one for the upper back and arms. And then back to downward facing dog. The left foot forward, a lunge. The hands to the inside of the left foot. And a little stretch here. Hip opener. And back to downward facing dog. And then it's a good time for child's pose. Letting the knees separate, the big toes touch. Lots of variations of child's pose. The arms here at your sides, cross your head resting on the arms, or the fist stack, the forehead resting on the stacked fists. And let's do a good hip release, a good hip stretch, especially for the psoas muscles, a block lunge. So the yogis say we carry a lot of energetic congestion in the hips, a place where we might find sort of a gathering of grief, worry, anger. You may or may not believe that. You might have noticed in your practice that hip openers tend to move a lot of energy. And this is a particularly good hip and psoas stretch, I think. So block lunge, we are first in a lunge. Oh, I'm going to turn this way so I can look at the clock. Putting the block so that when I lower the back thigh, it lands on the block. And I'm resting my back leg. I'm coming to forearms. So you might have a block here under the forearms. You might have a bolster under the forearms. I'm spending some time here in this block lunge. The front knee can drop open, the toes can turn out if you find that comfortable. It doesn't have to happen. Maybe there's a block or a bolster, like I say, under your forearms, so you don't have to come so low to the ground. So it's really important that the back thigh is resting. We're really using, again, the weight of the body, gravity, and the prop here to create this stretch, this fascia release. So we're spending about 45 seconds on this side, and you can spend as long as you like in the block lunge. You'll notice that when you come out of it, the leg that was on the block is in a different position than the leg that wasn't. The femur's further back in its socket. Even the heel might be closer to the floor, although that's not our goal. And we'll do the other side, and you get to see the front leg here can drop. The toes can turn out, the knee can drop open, so whatever feels comfortable. Comfortable and this pose might not actually work in the same sentence, but you can fix it so that it's a little more bearable. And you don't have to be here for a really long time either. If you find that the block has, you know, the edges are too sharp, you could certainly put a blanket over the block, make it a more accommodating prop. So we're breathing here, just softening into the pose. And again, about 45 seconds, we held it on this side. And then we'll shift back to downward facing dog, which at this point probably feels a little more expansive. And block lunges are good warm-ups for pigeon. So front foot is super active in pigeon. We're pressing through the big toe mound. And I'm just going to be upright for a few moments here, getting a nice stretch through the right side psoas, lifting a low belly. And then coming forward to forearms. And you can interlace the hands. Forearms can be parallel. Just a little deeper stretch for the upper back. So you can hold pigeon pose as long as you like. The back leg is active, so not letting the heel drop open or the leg just hang out. The toes, back toes can be curled under or not. If the toes are uncurled, just all the toenails touching, just like in cobra. And then there's pigeon variations. You can exhale an arm through, the other arm through on an exhalation, so pigeon twists. And we'll shift to the other side. So pigeon on the other side, the right knee. So you don't have to do pigeon at all. You can do a figure four, a seated figure four, crossing the ankle to the front of the thigh. You can recline on your back and do a figure four stretch. You can stand at a window and put this shin, the front shin, on the windowsill. So all of these different poses accommodate especially knee injury, and they have the effect of pigeon pose, the hip opening effect. So pressing through the right big toe mound here. So my ankle is not sickling. I'm not rolling the ankle. The right outer ankle is even up off the mat a little bit. So I'm lengthening through the right big toe now. And the back leg is active, the shin's hugging in. And then if you like, you can shift from pigeon to plank on forearms, if that feels good. The head's in the same alignment with the spine as in Tadasana. And if you enjoy dolphin pose, you can come forward into dolphin pose. You've got options here of raising one leg, the other leg, and then resting as you're ready again in child's pose. So from child's pose, let's shift into a couple of standing poses and a really good easy hamstring stretch and side stretch using again our tennis ball. So downward facing dog, walking the hands back to the feet. This Uttanasana variation is really comfortable, I think. A little bend in the knees here so the hamstrings aren't contracting. Then I'm just hanging. You can even sway a little bit if that feels good. You can interlace the hands behind the low back. Even lift the hands up away from the low back. I'm either hugging my feet in or pushing them apart. I'm squeezing the glutes to come all the way up to standing. And then, let's get the tennis ball again. I'm assuming you're still there. So, taking your tennis ball, we're going to spend about, well, we'll do 30 seconds just for the purposes of the video, but when you're practicing at home, maybe a minute is optimal. You can either roll the tennis ball around on your foot or press into the tennis ball for about 10 seconds, shift it to another part of the foot for about 10 seconds. So the plantar fascia, the fascia here, the sole of the foot, has a connection with the hamstrings. So by working our way into the plantar fascia, by pressing and holding, by moving to all parts of the foot, we start to release the big hamstring muscles between the butt and the back of the knee. So I'm going to step off the tennis ball on that side, and there's going to be a difference one foot to the other. There's also a difference you'll feel at the back of the knee. The back of my right knee feels softer than the back of the left. I'm shifting to the left side, pressing and holding. So you can keep moving around. I like to press and hold, really get in deep into the plantar fascia. It feels good. There's a bundle of nerves at the base of the big toe mound that might be a little intense, so you can always back away from it or press in more fully, depends on your personality. I don't think there's too much damage you can do with massaging with a tennis ball. And you can control the intensity of this massage. And I'm going to step off the tennis ball here and just notice the difference in the feet, the difference in the hamstrings. And then I'm going to use the tennis ball for a side stretch, and I'll go sideways. So the tennis ball's poking a little out behind my heel. Legs are straight. And the tennis ball's under the right foot. I'm extending the arms up. I'm holding my right wrist with my left hand, and I'm stretching to the right, away from the tennis ball. I can spin the heart to the ceiling, down toward the mat. I'm going to move the stretch to different parts of the side body, and all the way back to center, and then step off the tennis ball. And the right side feels longer than the left side. And I'll do the same on the left side. The tennis ball's, it's a little poking out behind the heel. And both legs are straight. It's just like I'm standing up and there happens to be a tennis ball under my left foot. Yeah, holding the left wrist and stretching away from the tennis ball. So enjoying the breath here. As always, you've been breathing the whole entire time. Well, you have. I've just been yammering away. Spin the heart down to the mat. Side body is long. Come all the way upright. And release the arms. Just stepping off the tennis ball and pausing here in Tadasana. We've created a whole lot more space and ease in the body. So let's move the tennis ball aside. We're going to do a couple of vinyasas, a couple sun salutations. And we're going to practice with the adult chaturanga variation that Gary Kraftsow taught in a class that Anne Alfieri attended. And Anne came back and taught it to us, and it's a terrific variation. So this first sun salutation won't incorporate any standing poses. And remember, if for your lunges you like blocks, your hands on a block, on 2 blocks, that's a great tool. It gives more room at the hips. It's just easier all the way around, especially if your arms are a little shorter in relation to the rest of the body. So we're inhaling the arms overhead. Soft knees. Okay, so we're standing at the top of the mat, and remember you can use blocks for your lunges. Inhale the arms overhead. On your exhalation, let the knees be soft. We're hinging at the hip creases. Inhale the heart forward. Exhale the right foot back to a lunge. So we're up on fingertips. Back thigh is lifting. The front thigh releasing down into the hamstrings, and the back thigh lifting up into them. And then downward facing dog. Here's the variation of chaturanga. Inhale forward to plank. Exhale the knees down. Back to child's pose, one fluid movement. I'm not driving my hands back. Inhale the heart and hips forward, broad across the shoulders, arms are straight. Exhale, bend the elbows straight back, lower all the way down. I'm going to reach out through my legs, inner spiraling, lifting the inseams up to the ceiling and extending back. And then a low cobra here. Back of the neck is long, so the chin isn't poking forward. You can lift the hands or not. All the toenails are touching. And to come back, I'm going to bend the knees. I'm pressing my knees down, and I'm going to follow the back ribs up. So that's the opposite of yanking my shoulders up and then pulling the hips. I'm going to follow the back ribs up, downward facing dog. And step the right foot forward to a lunge. Step up, Uttanasana. Either hugging the feet isometrically or pushing them apart. I'm coming all the way up to standing. And the same thing on the other side. Inhale, the arms overhead. Bend the knees, hinging at the hip creases. Inhale the heart forward. Exhale the left foot back to a lunge. And you can be up on blocks here. It's a great tool. Back to downward facing dog. Here's the adult chaturanga. Inhale to plank. Exhale, knees down. Back to child's pose. Inhale the heart and hips forward. Hips come close to the mat, not all the way down. And then I'm coming forward, reaching back through the legs. Let's do this one up on fingertips, wider than the shoulders and in front of the shoulders. I'm going to inhale, the side body is long, and I'm coming up into this cobra pose. Maybe lifting my hands. So strengthening for the upper back. And lowering down. Again, placing the hands. I'm going to bend my knees. Feet are active. I'm pressing the knees down and following the back ribs all the way back to downward facing dog. I'll step the left foot forward to a lunge and step up, Uttanasana. You might press the hands into the outer shins, pushing in and widening the sitting bones up and apart. There's different variations of Uttanasana. I like to keep the knees soft. And all the way up to standing. And the hands in prayer position. So taking a moment to notice if the breath has gotten away from you, which it often does. It does for me. So this next sun salutation, we'll use the same adult chaturanga variation, but we're going to add in some standing poses with some tips about doing those poses. Inhale, arms overhead. Soft knees, hinging at the hip creases. Inhale the heart forward. Exhale the right foot back to a lunge. I'm going to lower the heel down. So I'm lined up front heel to back instep. And for those of us with knee issues, pressing down into the front foot and isometrically pushing forward makes it much more comfortable to come up into Virabhadrasana 2. So notice my back hip is not popping forward. I'm letting it soften back. I'm letting the groin soften. Shoulders are square to the front. And you can look over the fingertips or not. I'm going to bring my left forearm to the front by the palm is up. Watch my right hand. I'm bending the right elbow, the right pinky brushing my ear. And then I'm extending the right arm along the ear. So I avoid this. Right? I'm bringing the right pinky, the palm is facing back, and extending the arm along the ear. Trying to lengthen through the left side moves as well as through the right. And then I can move into triangle. You can have your hand on your thigh, your shin, the mat. We want the torso in line with the front thigh. So it's not out here. Triangle pose. And then I'll move back into my lunge. Back to downward facing dog. So not hunched up, but hugging the hands in and broadening across the shoulders. Inhale to plank. Exhale, knees down. Child's pose without dragging the hands back. Inhale, the arms are straight, shoulders broad, hips come close to the mat, not all the way down. Exhale, all the way forward. I'm stretching back one leg, the other leg. And then your choice, your variation of cobra pose. I'm going to inhale, the side body is long, and press up into full cobra. The hips are down. And all the way forward. You can bend the knees, press into the knees, and follow the back ribs up. Downward facing dog. And the right foot forward to a lunge. And all the way up to standing. The last side. Hinge at the hip creases. Inhale the heart forward. This time the left foot back. And we'll do that same series. Lower the heel, so I'm lining up front heel to back instep. I'm going to press down and push forward with the right foot in order to come up to Virabhadrasana 2, and it's a lot more comfortable for the knee. I'm just trying to soften the groins, the back thigh, so they don't come popping forward. This knee right in line with the middle two toes. If I look at the right knee, I can see the big toe. And then the forearm to the front thigh. Pinky brushes the left ear, the palm is facing back, and I'm lengthening so the right side ribs are long. And then I'll shift to triangle pose on this side. One side you might feel is a little stiffer than the other side. That's really common for all of us. And into a lunge. I've totally forgotten where I am. I think we're going back to downward facing dog. Forward. And your favorite variation of chaturanga. Just make sure the shoulders don't drop down below the elbows. Maybe a variation of cobra pose that you enjoy. And either with the knees bent or curl the toes under with the legs so strongly that it's as if your legs are bringing you back. And then we'll step the left foot forward and all the way up. Uttanasana, interlace the hand. And all the way up to standing. And bringing the hands to prayer position. Checking in with the breath. So a good way to sort of kickstart the rhythm of the breath. Exhale completely. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of really relaxing poses, a couple of good stretches. I'm going to be reclining, and I'll show you two different upper back stretches, upper back, chest, inner armpit stretches. One of them has a block on the high end, a block on the medium end. The bottom tips of the shoulder blades, so that's about the base of the armpit. Your shoulder blades don't come down to your waist like sometimes we think. Just the bottom tips of the shoulder blades are going to meet the front edge of the low block. So bottom tips at the front edge, and the head is on the high block. So the flat planes of the shoulder blades are resting on the low block. And the more you move your arms back, you'll feel a deeper stretch in the inner armpits, the armpit chest. And we're just breathing here. This is one of our shoulder stretches. And you can stay here as long as you like. I'm going to show you the second shoulder stretch using a blanket. So this is a pretty thick blanket. You're going to adjust how you want the blanket to be. I'm going to let it be a pretty big blanket. And the bottom tips of the shoulder blades are going at the top of the blanket, And stretching over the blanket. If you find that your head is kind of like this, that you can't let the back of the neck be long, unroll the blanket some or put something under your head. We're not trying to strain the neck here. So just finding wherever it feels good for this upper back stretch. So you can stay there as long as you like. And one way to come off of this one, place the hands behind the head, and you can sort of rock and butt walk forward. So you're getting yourself a little back massage on your way out. And now my head's resting on the blanket, and now I can just roll to the side. Okay, last stretch here. The blanket under the low back. So my butt's on the mat, but the blanket is right there at the top of the pelvic bones. It's under the low back. Some people enjoy this. Some people find it a little too intense. You might start with a smaller roll. You can have the knees bend. You can extend the legs out straight. And we're really trying to just soften to release, to let the low back drape over the roll. So it's meant to become more and more easy. So if you find you're resisting, you're grimacing, it's too much, back out of it. So we want to be very cognizant of not moving into pain and discomfort. So you can stay here as long as you like. This is one option. People use different bolsters under the low back or maybe blocks. This is a very accessible one. Everybody usually has a blanket at home. In order to come out of this one, I don't like to just bend the knees and lift the hips because sometimes it gives you a little tweak. I want to move my knee out to the side while I drag my foot out and out to the side. And then I'm going to do a little cat-cow movement. So I'm lifting and lowering the hips, kind of doing a little cat-cow movement and sort of working my way until my my butt's right on top of the roll, and at that point, I'm pressing into the feet, pushing forward and sliding the roll out. And then it's much more comfortable than just kind of lifting and pulling. You're in a prime position here for Shavasana, or if you like,
you can do legs up the wall pose. So legs up the wall is just like what it sounds, bringing your butt to the wall and extending the legs up. If the hamstrings don't enjoy that, your butt can be further from the wall. I like to drop the sitting bones between the blanket and the wall. So you have your mat on the wall, your blanket close to the wall, and you're kind of swinging up your legs. So legs up the wall pose. Different ways to end your home practice. And of course, you can add in a bunch of stuff, you can take out a bunch of stuff, you can do whatever sort of variations you enjoy. So enjoy your forced time at home. Namaste.